I'm totally checking my email. Total, man. Hi, Strongbad. This is Trevor from Hampton, Maine, and I was wondering if you could teach me how to be as awesome as you. I am a vampire and... And what? That's it? I'm a vampire and here's $1,000,000? Or I'm a vampire and here's your own spaceship? I mean, what the... Oh, no, I get it. They got him! Somebody stuck him with a stake through the heart. Oh, this is so sad. Oh, Trevor, I pine for you. Hi, everybody. In memoriam of poor Trevor, let's go back and revisit a few of my favorite Trevor memories. This is Trevor from Hampton, Maine, and I was wondering if you could teach me how to be as awesome as you. Oh, that was great. And who could forget this one? I am a vampire and... And what? That's it? Ah, we sure had some great times, Trevor. I'm gonna miss you, bro.
Hi, everyone. Last week, we started to talk about clear and polite and professional email writing. And the fourth activity of last week was taking some notes on 15 different tips for writing good emails. Today, we're going to jump back into this, and we're going to do some practice, and we're going to work on writing some practice emails or rewriting some practice emails to try and put those tips into practice. So here are the goals for the activity today. I want you to be able to thrive as Rehoboth Christian School students by having positive and successful communication via email. Today, we're going to be working on writing emails whose tone matches your audience. So you're going to take an email and make it into a tone that matches a teacher better than the example. And we're also going to take a look at writing emails whose structure and grammar and spelling reflect well on you. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to need to do today is we will be working, as you see in our lesson today, it says apps used, and then there's the Google Classroom logo. We will be working in Google Classroom with a Google Doc. And so click on that to open up Google Classroom, and then navigate to Communications. And remember that the assignments are never going to show up in the stream right here. You'll have to go over to the Classwork tab. And you can see last week's activity, email etiquette notes. And then you can also see there's a new document here. Now, on my video, it's gray, but in yours, by the time you're watching this video, it should be blue, which means that it's available to you. Right now, it's scheduled, but not available yet. But by the time you're watching this, in the second week of the quarter, it'll be available. And so you click on it, and then you have your document right down here, and you can click to open. What I would also suggest that you do right now at this time is to also go back to last week's and click on your email etiquette notes as well. You won't be able to edit that document because you submitted it, but I want you just to have it open in another tab so that you can refer to your notes. So I'd open both of these documents up, and you can see I have them both open in two different tabs here. Here are the notes from last week. And here is the assignment for today. So I'd recommend keeping just both of those open. Okay, let's take a look at this email etiquette practice number 1 assignment. It says, read the emails that follow. For each one, explain what the sender did improperly and/or informally, referring to your email etiquette notes, which are these, when you need to. And then rewrite the email in a professional manner. Remember, these are emails sent from students to teachers, and so therefore they need to be written with a formal tone in a higher register. So we're going to do the example number 1 together. What I'd like you to do is follow along in your document as I do this and type along with me. And then I hope that that gives you, lets you know what I want you to do so that you can do numbers 2 and 3. Okay, so let's take a look at this first email. To pnielsen@rcsnm.org from Steve Student at rcsnm.org. Subject, none. Yo, Phil, I'm in your class and I need work. When is there going to be extra credit? I turned in a late assignment from last month in the late work basket today. Why haven't you entered it yet? Steve. So let's think a little bit, going back to our 15 tips. of writing a good email, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to name some of the email etiquette tips that this email is breaking. Now, you don't have to necessarily try and get every single one, but try and list as many as you can. So the first thing that I noticed was that there was no subject line. So I'm just going to write that here. There was no subject for the email. And as we said last week, it's good practice to make sure you have a specific subject to help the person you're sending the email to know what it's about. And that's considered good etiquette. Another thing I noticed here in the first line, the greeting of the email, I'm glad the student wrote a greeting at least, but the greeting is very, very informal. Yo, and then they're calling me by my first name, which is also not formal. So I would say the tone is very informal and not appropriate for a student writing to a teacher. Okay. When we rewrite this, it probably would be better to say like dear or hello and then Mr. Nielsen instead of Phil. Okay, let's dig into the body of the message. I don't think that was necessarily, that's still part of this informal tone, but don't write or in your emails. I am in your class and I need work. Now, one thing that I just want to point out here is likely I teach lots of different sections of a class, and so it would be really, really helpful right here. This is very vague in general for the student to say, Mr. Nielsen, I'm in your Block B communications class, and I need to make up missing assignments. Maybe it's my article of the week, number 2, that I need to make up. So to be more specific. So I'm just going to write here another tip is that the email is not specific. And then the last thing that I noticed here, when is there going to be extra credit? I turned in a late assignment from last month in the late basket today. Why haven't you entered it yet? I would just say that I forget which tip it was. It was giving time for response. Just also the tone. The tone of this email is very demanding, and the student had just turned it in that day, and they're demanding, when are you going to grade it? So I would say the email isn't very patient or giving time for a response. Okay. The last thing that I notice on here is that they're thankfully the student did sign the email. He put Steve, but he didn't include any sort of a closing like sincerely or thanks. So the email doesn't include a closing. So these 5 things are some of the things that I notice that could be improved about this email. So what we're going to do now is we're going to rewrite this email and try and write it with the same content or the same message, but just following email etiquette better. So to pnielsen@rcsnm.org from, we'll keep all this the same. Subject. Okay, so let's give it a subject line. Maybe we'll say it's from Steve, Block A, Communications, missing article of the week, number 2. Okay, so in the subject line, I have the name of the student here, the name of the class, the specific name of the class that he's in, and also the name of the assignment that he's missing. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is work on this, the tone of this, and make a greeting. So I might say, Dear Mr. Nielsen, comma. Now, in this first sentence, I would say we need to be more specific. So I am in your Block A Communications class, and I am trying to complete my missing assignments, such as my article of the week, number 2. And then it says I need work, so I might just say, would you please give me a new copy of that assignment? Okay, and now let's talk about the next part where he's talking about having turned in a late assignment and why isn't it graded yet. So I might just say here, also, I wanted to let you know that I turned in my missing word within the word assignment number 1 into the late work tray today. I look forward to seeing how my grade improves once you have a chance to grade it. Sincerely, Steve. All right. Can I fit this all on one page, I wonder? There we go. All right. So don't worry if you go on to the next page. That's totally fine. But here's a completed number 1 then. We have our email written in a more polite way, and we have just made it more formal and more professional. So now what I'd like you to try and do is do the same thing with email number 2, which is an email for Mr. Aronson, and then email number 3, which is an example email to Mrs. Ippel. Now these are just made up. These aren't actual emails, but we have, if you ask any of us teachers, we have received emails just like these ones. And so this is sort of true to life in many ways. So I'd challenge you to try and do your best. Again, in the naming etiquette tips that the email is breaking, don't agonize over getting every single one, but try and find as many of them as you can. And then do your best with rewriting the email as professionally as you can.